What is going on, everyone, and welcome to Halloween Horror 3, and welcome to Day 8. So, for Day 8, I'm going to be continuing on the Phantasm franchise, and I'm going to be reviewing Phantasm 4, or also known as Phantasm 4 Oblivion. So, for the longest time, I would have considered this to be the weakest, but I'll get to the fifth movie. I'll let you know which one the weakest after I review that one. But Phantasm 4 Oblivion is a long. I wouldn't say it's a long movie. It should have the runtime. It just feels like it drags too long than it should have. Let's see if it tells. It's 90 minutes. Okay, so it's an hour and a half, and not a whole lot goes on for an hour and a half, to be quite honest with you. So basically, Michael and Reggie are kind of spread apart, and Reggie is trying to find Michael because, as we know, Michael and the Tall Man have been together since the Tall Man took him, and as you guys know, as I stated, that the Tall Man has this thing with Michael. Like, he wants to turn Michael into the next tall man, to his protege. Is the best word to use. And of course, Michael refuses and doesn't want to. But in this film, we see more of Michael and the tall man interacting with each other. And we see kind of what's been going on between Michael and the tall man. And one thing we do find out is we find out that what happens to the tall man. He was a normal person, a human being at one point in his life, way back in the day. Had to been like maybe the 1600s, 1700s, maybe even before that, or the 1900s, somewhere around that time, way before all of what we have now. And we get a glimpse that he was working on, I guess, in some way, almost like a cross between a time machine and like a different dimension type of thing, which explains those bars that we see in the movies, or throughout the movie, or not movies, throughout the franchise. That's what I'm trying to say. These. And and Jody is the one helping Michael. Jody, of course, as you guys know, as I stated, turns into a sphere, and then he is actually helping Michael, and he is the one that gives Michael the backstory and shows him what happened to the tall man. But yeah, he was a scientist, and Jody tells Michael and states to him that he went through the portal, he went through those bars, and what came out was not the same person. Um, so it looked like he was able to come back, but we don't know what happened. I wish they would have explored that more. To me, I felt like that would have been great to explore, throughout the film, or like a continuation, like in between 4 and 5, kind of just get a little backstory on that. But for what we got, I think it's decent. There's not a whole lot going on. It's I don't think you could get maybe a couple action films, or not action. Man, I'm a little all over the place on this review. I think you get a little bit of some action scenes, especially when they're trying to destroy the tall man, like throughout each film, because we do eventually see Reggie and Michael reunite. But majority of the film is just a lot of the backstory on the tall man. Jody doing what he can to help Mike, and things like that. And I think eventually he helps Reggie too. But yeah, it just, to me at the time, this was the weakest. This came out in 1998. Was the second Phantasm film to come out in the 90s, and it's considered to be a prequel for the Tall Man, at least, and for the Phantasm series in some way. But you're not getting a whole lot. To me, it's just mostly just talking with a few action scenes here and there. And again, you're getting more of the chemistry between Michael and the Tall Man, and the Tall Man having an interest in Michael, and pretty much, wanting him to become what the Tall Man is, and Michael refusing and things like that. which I thought was cool. Now, the ending I thought was really unique, but at the same time, at that time of its release, it did come off as a potential door open for a sequel. And at the end, but before I do, this is going to be a spoiler. So if you have not seen the film, stop this video, go see it, then come back. All right, you've been warned. Now let's go ahead and get into the spoiler. So after they've defeated the tall man once again, or so they thought, we get a glimpse from a scene back from the first movie, and this scene apparently was a deleted scene. And what they do with some movie magic is they make future Mike kind of, in a way, communicate with the past Reggie. Because you hear Michael say, Reggie, help me, I'm dying. And then Reggie's like, did you hear that? And Michael's like, no, it's probably the wind. And that pretty much ends the fourth movie. So I thought this was pretty cool that they did that. And at the time, this was the weakest. But I will let you know what is the weakest when I finish the franchise. I have already done a franchise rating review for this, so you guys can check that out. I did it a couple of years back, and I did the review for the first movie, I think last year, for the Halloween Horror 2 or for Halloween Horror 1. So I'm just reviewing the ones I haven't yet. But I really thought that was pretty neat, and it did, in a way, open up the door for a possible sequel, which we would eventually get after so many years. But for what we got, I'm very happy with. I thought it was really good to some extent. But as much as I love Phantasm for Oblivion, it does have its issues. I feel like it does drag on a lot. I mean, an hour and a half, and you don't get a whole lot going on. And I felt like, as much as I do like the aspect of giving us a kind of a origin story with a tall man, I felt like this was something that should have been done in the third film. I mean, you're waiting until the last movie at that time, the last movie, to give us a backstory on him, when I felt like that should have been an in between. You know, it should have been like either at the end of the second film or the beginning of the third film, telling the story of how the tall man became what he was. Um, so yeah, it is what it is on that. Of course, everybody returns. Which I do like. Which I still wish, the actor who played Michael in part two would have come back for the other films. They could have just introduced a new character to kind of, in a way, not replace Jodie, but be the kind of, their third person. Because at that time, Jodie was killed in the first movie, and he becomes the Sphere, but he still, in a way, have his conscience, so he's actually able to help Mike and Reggie. So I felt like there could have been a four-man team, well, a three-man team plus Jodie as the Sphere helping them. But yeah, that's just my personal opinion. Um, but yeah, Phantasm 4, I think, is, for what it is decent. It has a lot of issues, but it's part of the franchise, and it will always be part of the franchise. Um, but yeah, let me know what your thoughts are on Phantasm 4. Give you guys a little glimpse here. But yeah, I wish I could say more. I have my love and hate relationship with this movie. So yeah, I'm just rambling on at this point, but thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I apologize if I've had to repeat myself on a few things, or if I couldn't say much about it. I apologize for those who may have been wanting more out of it. I will eventually be doing the format reviews for these. After I've viewed them, I tend to eventually go back and view them again, so I can focus more on the quality and the sound. Most of the time, if I'm doing like the Halloween Horror, I'm focused on just watching the movie and then getting a review out, and then like to go back and start paying attention to some details, scenes that stand out, the sound quality. So you will get reviews for the films themselves, and then you'll get format reviews. I've been doing that with a lot of my films. I feel like it helps separate the two a little bit. So that will be in the work. Yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. Let me know what your thoughts are on Phantasm 4 Oblivion. And give this video a like, subscribe to the channel. I'm Fun Talk with Mikey. And until next time, guys, we'll talk films. Peace.